With Bitcoin, things will happen the same way. Since the creation of Bitcoin on October 31, 2008, things have happened gradually. Bitcoin has continued to progress at its own pace to make sure that its revolution is preserved at all times. Some impatient people may have criticized Bitcoin for not moving fast enough. They simply forgot that Bitcoin is moving at the perfect pace for its revolution to happen safely for all its users. The slightest bug introduced into the Bitcoin network source code as a result of excessive haste could cost billions of dollars. Worse than a loss of money, it could threaten the Bitcoin revolution. A monetary revolution such as Bitcoin must be protected. This is what the Bitcoin community has been doing since Satoshi Nakamoto put the network in its hands. The rest of history has proven that Satoshi Nakamoto's heirs have been able to honor the magnificent gift made by the creator of Bitcoin. His unique invention has continued its revolution to the point where everything has accelerated sharply in recent weeks. Some seem surprised, but they should not. More and more people have begun to realize the incredible potential of Bitcoin as a store of value. The economic crisis of 2020 has played a crucial role in accelerating this change of mentality around Bitcoin. Bitcoin price is a good benchmark to witness this acceleration around Bitcoin. Bitcoin is often defined as NGU technology. NGU for numbers goes up. This is an essential feature that plays a key marketing role for Bitcoin. Bitcoin has no dedicated marketing team. Bitcoiners are in charge of preaching the good word about Bitcoin, using Bitcoin's NGU feature, but also using its having to make it more easily talked about to the general public. For example, it took 8 years for the Bitcoin price to reach $10,000 for the first time in 2017. It then took another 3 years for the Bitcoin price to rise from $10,000 to $20,000 by the end of 2020. Finally, the increase from $20,000 to $30,000 was achieved in just 17 days. At the time of writing, Bitcoin price has just passed $40,000 only 6 days after having passed $30,000. At the rate things are going at the moment, Bitcoin price will probably be over $42,000 by the time you read this article. Its price will reach $100,000 by the end of 2021 at worst. Ernest Hemingway's "Here" takes on its full meaning for Bitcoin gradually then suddenly. We have been going through the gradually phase since the creation of Bitcoin, and we are now in the process of switching to the suddenly phase since the second half of 2020. Suddenly, a large company like MicroStrategy is making Bitcoin its primary treasury reserve asset. Other companies are following suit. Institutional investors are opting for Bitcoin instead of gold as a store of value to hedge against the great monetary inflation. An online payment giant, PayPal, enters the Bitcoin world by offering a service to buy/hold/use Bitcoin to its 346 million users around the world in early 2021. Everything that suddenly happens to Bitcoin is the result of the gradual phase that has allowed Bitcoin's fundamentals to be continuously strengthened by building the world's most secure decentralized network. If all these people come to put billions of dollars into Bitcoin, it is above all because they trust its network. They know that Bitcoin is the best store of value available to the greatest number of people. Besides, these people have a long-term vision that allows them to understand that the current success of Bitcoin is nothing compared to what will happen for Bitcoin in the years come. Bitcoin has a market cap of more than $700 billion, which is nothing compared to what it will be in a few years. Bitcoin will surpass the gold market, which is around $10 trillion right now. The potential for Bitcoin's price growth is therefore still phenomenal simply by relying on what it does best at the moment, protecting your wealth from the ravages of monetary inflation in a censor-proof manner. When Bitcoin will have passed the gold market cap, its price will have surpassed $500,000. Some believe this will happen by the end of this decade, around 2030. At the rate things are going for Bitcoin, it is even likely that this flippening between Bitcoin and gold will take place much earlier during this decade. If you are a newcomer to the Bitcoin world, all this may surprise you. But it shouldn't really. Bitcoiners have been saying this for years now. If you take the time to carefully reread the articles that I have written in the past, and that other Bitcoiners have written, you will understand that the current situation was predictable. The current monetary and financial system is flawed and not fixable. Everything that governments and central banks are doing is only accelerating things for Bitcoin. Bitcoin's success is now inevitable. The more knowledge you have, the more you will be able to make the right decisions for your future regarding money. This is essential because no one will do it for you. You are the only one who can change your destiny when it comes to money. So take the time to study how the current system works. You will understand that it suffers from 7 deadly sins that will lead to its loss sooner or later. From there, you will be ready to discover why Bitcoin exists and how it brilliantly responds to the problems of the current system. You will feel indebted to Satoshi Nakamoto's magnificent gift to the inhabitants of the earth. What is even better is that Satoshi Nakamoto does not ask you to pay to use his invention. Bitcoin is freely available for all. His sole purpose was to give the people a weapon to regain power over money. Bitcoin is the money of the people supported by the people. Such a revolution will eventually triumph, that's for sure. Fortunately, we are still at the pivotal moment between the gradually and the suddenly phases. You can still be among those who will write the history in the future with Bitcoin. It is up to you to make the right choice for your future now that Bitcoin is entering the suddenly phase. The floodgates are now open for Bitcoin. Bitcoin broke the $20,000 psychological barrier on December 16, 2020. All the questions about whether Bitcoin had really beaten its all-time high, ATH, are now a thing of the past. Now that the $20,000 has been crossed, the floodgates are open for Bitcoin. Bitcoin has been making history every minute since it broke $20,000. The $21,000 was a formality, as was the $22,000. It had been clear for a couple of weeks that once the $20,000 was crossed, Bitcoin would move very quickly to the $22,000 since there was no major resistance. The Bitcoin price is $22,682 at the time of writing. The $23,000 could very well be breached during the day at the pace things are going. While Bitcoin was struggling to break through the $20,000 mark yesterday, it was the announcement by Ruffer Investment of a $744 million purchase of Bitcoin made in November 2020 that gave Bitcoin the momentum to break through the $20,000 mark. Ruffer Investment holds now 45,000 BTC. As a result, buy orders have been pouring in. We were then able to witness a great classic since Coinbase was down with its famous message explaining to its users that the platform was experiencing problems with its infrastructure. For once, Coinbase wasn't alone in its debacle as Binance also experienced scaling problems as Bitcoin crossed the $20,000 mark. It's always surprising that two of the world's largest trading platforms can experience so many technical problems. This represents an increase of plus 100% in 2 months. Investors are increasing their positions in Bitcoin. More and more players come to participate in this meteoric rise in the Bitcoin price. The Chicago Mercantile Exchange, CME, now holds $1.37 billion of these contracts. This is proof, if proof were needed, of the growing interest of institutional investors in Bitcoin. In the coming days, this movement can be expected to intensify. Seeing Bitcoin fetching the $25,000 by the end of 2020 is clearly not a utopia. We are not there yet, of course, but it is the next target in my opinion. The most interesting thing about the current rise in the Bitcoin price is that retail investors haven't even hit the market en masse yet. The finance specialized media are slowly but surely starting to include coverage of Bitcoin in their editions. However, the mainstream media has not yet started to talk about Bitcoin again. The bull run that will take place in 2021 will start with a Bitcoin priced above $20,000. In 2017, when the bull run actually started, the Bitcoin price was below $5,000. The rest you know. The Bitcoin price had quadrupled in a few weeks to reach $20,000. We will experience a similar situation again in 2021 with $20,000 as a baseline. A 4 or 5 times increase in the Bitcoin price is a target more relevant than ever in 2021. The $100,000 is therefore more than ever within reach for Bitcoin given the fundamentals that we can observe now. With Bitcoin, things are completely different. Bitcoin has no value because someone powerful has decided it is valued. Bitcoin is valuable because people have confidence in the Bitcoin revolution. When Satoshi Nakamoto created Bitcoin, Bitcoin had no value. No one believed in Bitcoin. And then, users came to join the Bitcoin network, embracing the idea of a decentralized digital currency, without any leader, that would belong to the people. For the past 12 years, users have been free to join, or leave, the Bitcoin network. You can decide to leave the Bitcoin world at any time. No one forces you to trust Bitcoin. In fact, if everyone loses confidence in Bitcoin, the price of Bitcoin will go towards zero. It's as simple as that. If everyone on Earth finally recognizes the value of Bitcoin, the price of Bitcoin will continue to rise towards infinity. Currently, it is estimated that there are just over 100 million users in the Bitcoin world. We are therefore still far from the 7.8 billion inhabitants of the Earth.